Now, going on to our fourth and final showcase, which comes from Brussels, from Rosanna Lewis, who is standing by to take us through the Climate Connection Creative Commissions. Rosanna, I know you have a lot to talk us through, so the floor is entirely yours.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. And it's great to see the hubs in Sudan and in Pakistan joining online, as well as everyone else. So the British Council's Creative Commissions brought together arts, science, and digital technology to offer innovative, interdisciplinary, and inclusive responses to climate change. 17 creative commissions were awarded to individuals and organisations in the UK and partners in over 45 countries to collaborate together, and the projects took place in the lead up to COP26. The Creative Commissions connected people from different countries, cultures, and communities to understand one another's perspectives and collaborate on creative responses and solutions to climate change. What was truly inspiring about them was how they actively supported groups and communities that are currently underrepresented in climate change conversations, and they engaged individuals of different genders, ethnicities, and ages, with the majority of the projects being youth-led or having a youth focus. Each creative commission was unique in nature and addressed different climate themes, including rising sea levels, deforestation, plastic waste, consumption, and our carbon footprint. The effects of climate change have repercussions for people, planet, prosperity, and peace. And the Creative Commissions demonstrated how arts and culture can address a number of these global challenges in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It was really fascinating for me to see how the Creative Commissions took an interdisciplinary approach to their projects, collaborating with artists, climate scientists, urban planners, digital innovators, educators, youth, and community leaders. They carried out workshops and seminars in schools, universities, and communities. They developed digital tools for immersive experiences and co-produced creative content to raise awareness and inspire action. So far, the Creative Commissions have reached over 3 million people online and engaged directly with 4,000 people face-to-face and digitally. They were widely represented at COP26, and this included Living Language Land, who held a panel discussion in the Green Zone, Climate Portals and Phone Call to the World, who organised festivals, exhibitions and performances in Glasgow, and several projects that were featured in the Blue Zone at the Resilience Hub and at our Climate Connection stand. I'd like to just highlight some of the key outputs, which include films such as Listening to Ice, the Songs of the Earth music album, a Museum of Plastic in 2021, which is a virtual reality museum, Trees for Life, who planted trees into graffiti in Ethiopia, which are now visible from space, 9 Earths, who have an immersive art installation currently live in Bandung, Indonesia, Tales of Care and Repair, who did policy declarations in Brazil, India, and the UK, and Connecting the Climate Challenge, that had educational resources and exchanges between schools in Scotland and Nepal, but there's much, much more. So just to give you a flavour of some of these projects, we'll now share with you a short documentary about the Green Spaces Atlas project in Botswana. And this will be followed by the 10 Years to Save the World launch video of their comic book anthology from the UK and the Philippines, and a youth call for help to protect Mother Earth from the project Phone Call to the World, which took place in South Africa, India, Palestine, and Scotland.
In Botswana especially, climate change isn't something that people usually talk about here.
I feel like people feel like climate change doesn't actually exist.
People like me had no idea what it was about, but it's a hazard, you know, it poses a threat to our daily lives.
We had to look at climate change vulnerability charts. And the higher the country is from 1 to 152, so if you're in the hundreds, you're in danger. Botswana is at position 92 in terms of vulnerability. Yeah. it's bad. Looking at that and then looking at the fact that we have like 6 years left to make a difference, it makes reality very scary for us.
We know pretty well that it's going to disproportionately affect people south of the equator and in poorer nations. Let's be proactive in helping to mitigate it. The way people communicate climate change, it's a very difficult thing to get across to people, because it does feel like a problem that is decades in the future. In a lot of ways it is, and in a lot of ways, we're seeing some of the impacts now. I think one of the problems is individual actions are really great, but the real change has to happen at institution level. It doesn't seem like our institutions, sort of the global south, if you will, are looking at climate change as something that they can play an active role in helping to mitigate. And we thought if we could help people sort of see what their role could be by doing things like saying, okay, if you design your city in X way, you can sequester this much carbon. If you create a green space, you also have these secondary benefits to not just the local environment, but also to the people who live in it, right? The Green Space Atlas is a platform that helps young people form groups and imagine ideas of what their city could look like if it was designed more sustainably. We encourage them to focus on sort of one small area of the city, typically neglected areas where they could possibly set up an urban green space. Our first batch of green space designers, they come from Botswana, and we give them tools like we explain, this is how you build a team. Once you've built your designs and you want to pitch it to somebody in government, this is how you go about doing that.
The first task that we got was identifying a space that we wanted to work on, and a space that we thought was being underutilized, that we could revitalize and change into an urban green space.
Next up, we had to go to the actual people who live around those areas and find out, so how does this area affect you? How do you feel about living here? What goes on? And those responses were really what carried the project through.
Local communities need to feel that they are not sidelined, so that they can also have a say in development.
We'd come up with ideas or sketches of what we thought would suit the environments. Our premise was basically that we wanted to bring the village to the city, because that's what people were longing for. He said that they were tired of things that just looked so urban and they were a far cry from our culture.
My team came up with having things like ground games on the floor. Then when they pass through, they can just take a little bit of time and interact with a normal stranger like me on a normal day, and just that sort of brings communities together.
And we came up with 4 sections for it. The first section, which was closer to the University of Botswana, was going to be a youth section. The other section was going to be for senior citizens, and then the children section. The other section was pure landscape area that a person can just walk through and just enjoy the beauty of nature within a city. I mean, where else can one get that?
Right now, I work as a teacher. Kids have more fun and they are able to learn better in open spaces. I don't teach my students inside classes anymore. We go outside for our classes. On a personal level, for me to have that would improve our way of thinking and our way of imagining what living in an urban society or futuristic society could be like.
We had to create a final presentation where now we're combining all the elements from the start, whereby now we're explaining why we chose the site, what we're trying to see from the site, or what even the community is trying to see from the site. Finally, how it is going to contribute to tackling climate change.
Leading up to the final presentation, it was a really, intense week.
So we only had 10 minutes to go through the whole process, to go through something that we did in 5 months.
We had to clean up those rough edges on our model, finalize the PowerPoint presentation.
On the last day, Dr. Sitama just came and told us that it's actually a competition and there are going to be prizes awarded. That was extra pressure.
It was nerve-wracking, but we had the model. We had worked very hard on it. So we were crossing our fingers and hoping for the best. Presenting in front of very high-profile people But we did it, and they were very much impressed with our way of thinking.
I'm very proud of the project that I came up with. I'm very proud of the ideas and the work that we did.
Proud I was able to be a part of something different, but at the same time, I feel like it's something that doesn't have to end.
What they've essentially gone and done is create a full-scale design for a chunk of their city that can have positive benefits for people and the planet. And within a few months, they are presenting their full-scale design and their ideas to city officials. And that's a model that is really easily scalable and replicable across the world. We are documenting everything that we've used to go through this process. So anybody who wants to do something similar, if you are anywhere in the world, you can literally pick up our little playbook and you can apply it there.
At the presentation, one lady told us that, the most important thing that, you can talk all day, but the most important thing is action.
It's not just for the experts, it's not just for people who know about it, it's also for you who's actually willing to take the change. So that's where it starts, it all begins with you.
You're through to the emergency service. Is the patient breathing?
Her breath is very shallow. She's struggling to take a breath.
Is the patient conscious?
Only just. She's fading. Her vital signs are weak. Please help me.
Can you feel a pulse?
It's very faint. What do I do? I need to help her. We need to help her before it's too late.
Do you know the patient's name?
She's our mother. Mother Earth.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed discovering some of those creative commissions, and you can see for yourself how arts and culture are a vital part of the solution to the climate emergency by stimulating global conversations and inspiring transformational change. Climate change is a key theme of our arts and culture portfolio at the British Council, and we look forward to continuing international collaborations combining arts, science and digital technology ahead of COP27. Now, I am delighted to have with me Luke Kemp, the co-head of the Barbican International Enterprises, to reflect on our creative commissions and introduce their upcoming exhibition, Our Time on Earth, which is launching on the 5th of May. So hi, Luke, thank you for joining us.
No, hi, thanks very much for having me. It is a kind of privilege to be able to speak amongst such fascinating projects, truly inspiring, and I think essential to have the right voices talking about the right projects which are going to help people have a different vision for the world and to help to be able to make essential change. I think for me personally, there's a lot of synergy with the creative commissions that have been created. The breadth of the work that has been created is astounding, whether it's sort of digital commissions or the Museum of Plastic that you were mentioning, or even the Listening to Glaciers project. I think one thing that is really important is also the title of one of the commissions as well, is that we're able to realize these portals that can kind of help people see and even take people to other parts of the world that some people may not be able to travel to otherwise. I think it's one of the most important things is that idea of bringing different ideas together. Sometimes that may challenge, but also sometimes through those challenges, you can get new and significant viewpoints out to everybody. So just briefly to talk about the exhibition that we are also creating and to kind of think about how some of the ideas that are from the creative commissions we're also bringing into the Barbican exhibition. So firstly, I think the youth voice is essentially important. So I'll talk about some of the commissions we have there as well, because that is whose future it actually is. And through this, what we're doing at the Barbican Centre is the exhibition called Our Time on Earth, which you can see behind me, is to think about what a cultural institution can do and the importance of providing a platform for people. So in this, a lot of the commissions that we've also created have been an opportunity for us to step back a bit and let people curate and develop the content themselves. So the exhibition is developed over 3 sections, which we've called Belong, Imagine, and Engage. So belong is the idea to remind us that we are part of a marvelous and magnificent planet. Imagine is this idea of portals, much like the creative commissions. We're taking 10 big projects and showcasing big ideas of what a different world could look like. And to kind of emphasize that we're not saying that we have all the answers, but we really want to start a conversation, which I feel is incredibly important. And some of those include a work called the Symbiote Theme, which is taking indigenous communities from India, the Kasi community, whose root bridge you can see behind me, also the Madan community from Iraq, and also the Subak community from Bali, and taking them and getting them to work with Pura Happold, which is a leading international engineering company, to show that these technologies that already exist can actually be used and created in our cities today. We also have a work that rounds off towards the end of the exhibition in our Engage section, where we have brought a youth creative agency called The Earth Issue, together with an Indian architecture practice called Wallmakers, to create a space that has 10 stories where people get to speak about their experience of what the world could look like and the action that they're taking at the moment. This is to inspire and hopefully make people feel that you don't have to be part of a huge organization. You can do something small and you can do something large, but the idea is that to feel inspired to do something and also to have the courage to do it as well. So very much we want to leave people towards the end of the exhibition with this idea that you have an important part to play. You're part of a community that is the world, that everybody is part of, all beings, not just humans as well, as the message that we want to get across, and that there is hope, there is possibility, and there are a lot of things that we can still do.
Thank you, Luke. And it's interesting you've gone for the 3 slogan of Belong, Imagine, Engage. We had Discover, Share, Act, and the value of those Indigenous communities for their technologies and their practices, their traditions, but their value of nature and what it means to them to exist in a world, to coexist in the world. The importance of international collaboration between the UK and the world, and also inspiring confidence, hope, and action. So thank you so much. And I'm going to hand back over to Hadja at the studio.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rosanna. Thank you so much, Luke, for sharing all those insights. And I mean, incredible things that we